All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. So, guys, we're just getting started here. Bart just got on, got his webcam up, and so just going to hang out for a couple of minutes before we get started chit-chat here. So, I think last I checked, there was about 8 people registered for the webinar. Obviously, we limited this thing big time. Ryan Walsh just got on, and then I put a little invite out in our boardroom mastermind group, so we might have 2 or 3 people jump in from there. So let's see here. What's up, Philip? How are you? So if you guys want to later get your mics ready, and later we can bring you guys on to ask some questions. So yeah, Philip, awesome. He says terrific. So get your mic ready, man. If you have questions later, I'll unmute you and bring you on. So welcome, welcome. Okay, cool. So and we had a big deal potentially land in our laps, and could be catastrophic in a good way. Potential for $1 million a month.
Oh, can I get a hello?
The deal's already sold. It's nuts. Crazy. So over 1,000 leads a month
Oh my God.
is what they're wanting to buy. 1,000 calls a month. So big time deal. We are kind of all in a tizzy about. Put us in a little bit of a tailspin.
No doubt.
Cool, man. So just want to give everybody a couple more minutes to jump on. 2 or 3 minutes here. We'll get started. Meet your goals. Yeah, I mean, Philip, the crazy thing is it could be $1 million a month, not $1 million a year, all by itself. One big colossal deal. So we shall see. Working the numbers, trying to make it work. Pretty nuts. Cool.
Talk about a whale.
Yeah, big old whale.
Oh my God.
Let's see here. Cool. All right. So another minute here, and we should be good to go. How's your day going so far, man?
Really good. I think I closed another this morning.
Yeah, what city?
The city is, oh gosh, just went blank. Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, cool. 1,500 a month package again?
Yeah, 5 leads though. 5 leads.
Gotcha.
And,
Good.
It's,
Expectation set.
yeah, we got a set closing call on Thursday. I just sent him a proposal and outline and everything about an hour ago.
Nice.
Call was at 9 this morning.
Cool, man. Let's see. All right, let's get this thing kicked off. All right, guys, so can you guys see my screen okay? Barton, can you see it?
Yep.
I see you.
Dwayne, Philip, can you guys see it? Cool. All right. So the goal of this interview is to kind of deep dive with Barton on the process and what he's been able to accomplish, kind of give you guys kind of a peek into what Barton's been up to over the last 30 days in his business. I'm really excited, man, because you took action, you grabbed, life by the balls, so to speak, and you've just done it. In 30 days, you've built a six-figure business. To me, that's wild. And it's not a six-figure business where you built a six-figure business with Amazon, and so now your cost of goods is you're only making 10% of that, right? It's the opposite. It's your cost of goods may be 10%, and the rest is in your pocket. So when people talk about building big businesses, the question I always ask is like, okay, great, but how many team members do they have, and what's their actual profit margins? And so I think that's really the beauty of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, very little investment except time and energy and effort, and just if you want to do it, basically your desire.
Exactly. So, guys, real quick, I want to kind of recap how Bart and I started chatting, and then we'll kind of get into what he's been up to. I see Mark Casey, you joined, Philip, Dwayne Siebert, and we got a couple more joining right now. Guys, have your mics ready later if you want. I'll be able to pull you on when you guys have questions. So just keep that in mind. So again, I mean, the biggie for me, the big aha was six figures in 30 days. And I put that goal in front of Barton after your second deal you had closed, and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to go for it, and you did. I mean, that's what's fantastic. So. Obviously, you guys saw Bart came from the sales contest that we were running. This was proof of his first gig that he got, $1,500 a month. I think, Bart, what would be cool is if we'd start talking about kind of how you package the deals so that everybody can understand why these deals are all $1,500 a month. So basically, you got three different packages. You want to talk about those real briefly?
Yeah. I have three packages. I usually just kind of promote the middle one, but the idea I had in mind was if they balk about price, I could always fall back to a cheaper service or level of leads. And if they're a really big outfit, I figured, well, I better have something ready to upsell. You want fries with that or whatever. And so. So I always just begin, when we come around to pricing really at the end of my presentation, and I usually try not to even bring it up until they start asking about it, because that's always a big clue. I mean, it got their interest. But yeah, so that's essentially it. I mean, we have the mid-level price of $1,500. It's really actually $1,497, and that's usually. What we're offering is 7 to 10 leads, but this is kind of interesting. I don't really say, I find out from them ahead of time what would make a difference in their business. And usually, if they're a larger business, they'll usually say a larger number of leads, but a lot of times in the industry I'm working, it's, they usually say, hey, if I could get an extra 4 or 5 or 6, deals in every month, that would be great. So, and then we just say, well, we're in luck. We have a mid-level package. We usually start people out. We could get you exactly that amount, possibly even more, and this is the price, $1,497. So, and if they balk, on the pricing of that at all, which usually they don't. I mean, I very rarely even go to the lower level, which is $997. But it's all based on what they tell me is acceptable to them as far as what would make a difference in their business. So if they act like, well, I need 20 leads a month or whatever, I haven't really had that conversation yet, honestly. But I do have, a higher level. I mean, I priced it like at 2,900 or something like that, something kind of crazy, 2,997, and that's my 20 lead plus deal. But if they say I need a good solid 10 leads a month, I might quote them that price. I don't know. I haven't done that yet, but it's there if they ask, and we have the conversation.
So I mean, I think that the beautiful part about your packaging is that basically you're selling people the middle plan, which there's a lot of psychology in by itself, right? People don't want the smallest, they want something stable, they want something significant, but most people aren't willing to stretch and they don't want the best right out of the gate. I mean, you're going to have a small percentage of people that want that, but most people are going to be after this package. So when I first started talking with Bart, I thought that this was really smart, this $14.97 package, and this is what he starts people at. And he hasn't had push down into the lower package. So I think you started to talk about kind of how you do the packaging, and I think we'll get to that in a minute. But the price points I think are really smart, right? So at $14.97, all that you really need to do 6 figures is 6 deals. Right. So you need to be closing a little over 1 a week to do that in a month. So it's not as many as you think. You don't have to do a million things in order to hit 6 figures, right? I mean, Barton basically, 99% of your time just focused on sales for the month and brought everything in that month. Like, that was your only real focus. You weren't focused on fulfillment and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, most of your focus, if not all, for this 30-day time period was strictly on just the sales end of it.
Absolutely, and that wasn't a lot of time, really. I mean, people think, God, he must have been on the phone 10 hours straight every day, 7 days a week. But honestly, no, it was just focus, focus. Cleared the desk, got organized. I got a daily method of operation going. I fired out the emails, I figured out the timing, and I was just ready to take action whenever that action needed to occur. So I was just flexible, and that was my focus.
Yep. So the other really cool thing that I loved about how Barton attacked this is that he set very, very loose expectations in terms of what they were going to be getting. And we'll talk about that in a second, but essentially how he did that is he took a much more consultative approach than just saying, hey, I'll sell you leads for $250 a piece, right? He let the prospect tell Barton what would make a difference in his business, and then Barton suggested a package where he thought they would be appropriate. Okay, and so if he said, I need 3 extra leads a month, great, this $14.97 package is for you. If I need 5 extra, okay, great, this $14.97 is for you, right? And if somebody would have said, I need 50 extra, he's not going to obviously sell them into the $14.97 package, right? Like he said, that hasn't come up yet, but these packages were designed specifically for a reason, right? And so whatever their answer is, as long as it's not this crazy low ball, he just automatically pushes them into this mid-tier pricing. Does that make sense to everybody? Could you guys give us a little feedback in the chat? I want to make sure that gets hammered home to everybody because I think that's absolutely brilliant. Too many times we try to get too analytical and we try to go crazy in terms of making things make sense for the prospect, and it's not really necessary. Cool. Exactly. So again, the key is setting that loose expectation. So let's talk a little bit more kind of about the process with everybody, high level, and then we can kind of deep dive a little bit on each of these steps. And correct me, Barton, obviously, if I'm wrong with anything or if I misspeak, please step in for me or correct me. But based upon all of our conversations, obviously, we've been chatting a lot. I kind of came up with this 5-step process, basically, that you've been doing. So basically, you're gathering leads, scraping leads with Lead Kahuna.
Correct.
Then you're sending out cold emails.
That's right.
So the emails are very, very broad in nature. Just trying to get a response and start a conversation, right? Trying to get the open, trying to solicit a response. And we can dive in more detail. Then I put follow-up. So essentially, Barton is spending most of his time, I would say, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but is spent in this follow-up stage. In this follow-up stage, really, I mean 2 things: replying to emails, okay, and then 2, calling the people that open the email more than one time. right? So who are the people that keep opening over and over again, and who are the people that are replying to the email and Barton has to reply? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then once he talks to them, obviously Barton's biggest goal is just to get them to book an appointment. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was really cool, Barton said he'd call somebody because he'd get an alert saying that they just opened up the email, right? And so he'd call them up on the phone and he'd act really busy, right? He'd say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and give you a call quick, but I'm getting ready to go into a meeting. Can we schedule a call for tomorrow? Right? And so he just puts the guy off, but he gets that appointment booked right away. Okay? Then obviously the consult is the last piece. So once he gets on that call, what actually happens, right? And we've talked about it a little bit, but basically he's just doing a real consult with a business owner, right? Talking to them about their business, some basic things. How long have you guys been in business? How big is your outfit? What are some other questions that you ask then, Barton?
Well, I open it up and just say, hey, tell me your story. How'd you get started in this business? And invariably, yeah, that's the word. They'll just tell me, hey, I got going with my father. He was a carpenter, or that was used to be an electrician, and that give me a story, and tell me about it. And sometimes they'll even bring up their family and that sort of thing. And just don't be afraid to have a conversation is all I'm saying, because the sales, I'm not trying to sell them or anything. I'm just trying to, the more you have a dialogue with people, the more they'll start knowing and liking and trusting you. So I'm not trying to be manipulative or anything. I'm being totally transparent, and I'm genuinely interested in them. I'm kind of a people person, but I'd say I'm a little introverted, but I really try to have a conversation and let them talk, and then guide it that way. So I don't know if that's
yeah, man, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So really what you're looking for by the end of the call, really the whole thing is just sparking them to get them talking, right? Mm-hmm. So they should be doing, I'm sure you'd agree with me, but they should be doing 90% of the talking during this, right? Right? That's your whole goal, is just to get them to open up. So you just need to keep asking questions, right? Get them to really open up. But at the end, ultimately, the famous line that you use is something to the effect of how many new deals or how many leads would make a difference in your business?
Exactly.
Right. So.
Yep.
Do you structure it as deals or calls, or how do you ask that question?
Well, generally, I ask them. How many calls are they getting on a daily basis? Somewhere along the line I get that information, like how many calls they're getting, how many of those leads to business, or how many deals do you get out of those calls? And usually they'll say 70 to 90% of the time we close the deal. But I think most owners are a little bit they think of themselves a little. I think it would be probably safe to say, and this is what I do. Well, let's just say when I go back and revisit this later, I give an example, say just half of them, or whatever. So give them a realistic expectation of return on investment of the service we're offering. So, in that way, I write that down so later I can bring it up and use their own, definitions. And kind of the return on investment when I say, when they tell me another extra 5 leads, will be important, would make a difference in their business. And then, I plug that in. So I also find out what their average deal is. So they tell me how many calls they get, how often, their closing rate, it might be 70%. And then they tell me what their average sale is. And then I just kind of plug that in when they tell me, yeah, Bart, an extra 5 leads every month would be great, that sort of thing. I don't know if that's clear enough.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So really we're trying to get them started talking. So I think a great opener, break the ice. I like, what's your story? How'd you get into business? How'd you get started in this space? And get them talking. Obviously, you want to get then kind of after you have them talking and after you have them opened up about their business. For me, in these consults, I always try to find out how big their business is as well. What did you guys do last year in terms of revenue? And typically, like, how many people do you have working for you? But I try to cater those questions to the industry, right? So I would say, like, last year's revenue. This year's projected, right? And then I always ask something again that's tailored down to their space. So, for example, how many crews do you have? Okay, or how many trucks do you have? In the water damage space, a lot of times, in locksmiths and a lot of service businesses, they say how many trucks do you have? Right, carpet cleaning businesses, things like that. In like roofing, for example, it would be like, how many crews do you have?
Yeah, you know, I've noticed too in my conversations, you don't really necessarily want to directly ask, so what were your gross revenues for 2015? You know, but if you ask them how many trucks they have, you know, it's just more kind of casual conversation, you know, and a lot of times they're proud of telling you how many trucks they have, you know, and you know, versus you seeming like you're prying into their business. But and then we'll get into, you know, more detail as, you know, as I'm, you know, allowed to get from, you know, but I never want to short circuit the deal and try to get down to the wire and get to the closing point. I just try to let them. And another thing, and you know, they may just say, hey, I know all about my business. What do you have to sell? You know, that kind of thing. And that happens sometimes too. You know, what I usually do is I just say, well, look, yeah, obviously I do have a service, but I'm much more interested in hearing about your business first, and I'd be happy to tell you about that in a few minutes. And I try to brush it off and get back to our conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you have to go right into it, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you go right into it, they psychologically, it's like they grab control. And once they grab control, they're really looking for an excuse to just get off the phone because you're just another, you know, salesman or whatever. So, so I just say, look, you know, I'd be happy to tell you that. Obviously, we do have a business and a service, but I honestly would like to get a little more information from you, and so that I can help you the best way possible. You know, something like that.
That makes perfect sense. For me, I always go back to, I talk very high level. I'll actually answer them a little bit and say that we help via lead generation, or we help grow whatever industry it is, businesses, right? We help water damages grow their businesses from $500,000 or $250,000 in revenue to multiple $1 million in revenue over the course of 1 to 2 years, or something like that, right? Exactly. And so I give a very broad answer. So I don't say, I don't tell them I do SEO, I do Google Maps, I sell pay-per-call leads, right? None of that I say in a consultative type of close, right? I'm trying to get them to keep talking. And so I'll say something to that effect, and then I would follow up by saying, you know, the goal right now is you. I want to get to know you, and I want to see if this is an opportunity for us to work together. Right? Without me asking a couple of questions and getting to know you better, I can't even decide, or I can't even make the decision if this is the right opportunity for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's another way that I kind of turn the tables back on them. Does that make sense to everybody? Can I just get a 1 from you guys? Philip, Mark, Robert, Chuck, Amy. What's up, Amy? Dwayne, George, John Ramirez. Mark Casey, Robert Westberg. Make sense? Cool. So don't let them take over control of the conversation, right? You want to keep control, but at the same time, you want them doing 90% of the talking. Okay, so just keep asking questions. Okay, so from you guys, any quick questions on kind of the consult side of things in terms of what you're talking about on the phone call, how you arrive at their average customer value, their close rate, their, you know, kind of how many leads to deals types of questions. You guys got that? Yes? Yes, yes, yes. Cool. All right. So let's back up one step then, and let's talk about booking the appointment. So when you're booking an appointment, Bart, it's either via email or you've called them because you saw that they opened your email, right?
Right,
So can you
exactly.
give us an example of let's start with email because that'll be easy, and then let's do a phone call type of follow up. So if somebody responds back to your cold email and says, "Hey, yes, Barton, I am interested in growing my restoration business. I'd like to chat with you." Um, what's do you just do you try to get on a quick phone call to book an appointment, or do you go directly into, "Hey, I have these times available"?
Well, if they reach out via email, I usually reply back via email just quickly. I'm kind of keeping my eyeballs on replies and things. So, if it's been a while and you reply back, don't expect them. They're probably busy doing something else at that point. So it's pretty good to reply back quickly. But if you don't get a reply back, you know, after a few minutes, I'll just pick up the phone and call. Because they may have stepped away from their computer or whatever. They might be on another side of the office or something, or who knows. But I'll call back, and the gatekeeper. And here's another perspective with the gatekeeper. I look at them kind of like, you know, they're typically the owner's assistant or personal assistant or whatever, and I like to look at them as like, they're there to help, not to keep you out. So it's a perspective I have. So I don't know any better way to explain that, but I try to have a conversation. And they're people too, so we just have a conversation with them. But I just say, hey, I was just emailing John, and he must have stepped away. Is he around? And they were like, well, who's this? Oh, that's Bart. Is he there? That kind of thing. I don't really say, who I am, what I'm with, because they'll go ask me probably. But if I
Yeah.
say it kind of casually, like they might be thinking I'm John's friend or something. I don't know. But half the time they'll just put me right through. But the other time will be, well, what's this in regards to? And I'll just say, well, he expressed some interest via email, and I hadn't heard back from him in a few minutes, so I thought I'd just call and see if he's in. And then I get on the phone with him that way. If that answers the question.
I think that answers the question brilliantly. We got Mark Casey on the line that says, if you don't get a response back quickly from your FU, he actually spells out, it's follow-up, right? Yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
follow-up. I keep saying FU email. It's follow-up, right? Yeah. Good catch. Sorry. As soon as he wrote that, I just started kind of laughing internally. So.
Yeah, follow up. And
So if they
yeah.
do respond via email, though, it's just, hey, great. They say something like, I do want to chat, right? Then it's, okay, here, I got some times available. And then
Yeah,
if they
I give them
don't,
choices. And even if I have like nothing on the day or whatever, I never say, yeah, I have time right now. Always convey that you're busy, you got something going, and or whatever. And quite honestly, I do now, so I am busy. But when I first got going, and so I usually give them a day, and usually a day out. I don't do it like that day, but I usually say the next day, like a morning time, and then something in the afternoon,
yeah.
that kind of thing. And a couple days out. Um,
Cool.
yeah.
So, yeah, if they reply back, set the appointment, how often do you get responses back like, screw you, or what's this about, or things that aren't straight, like appointment type of responses or availability
Um,
type?
I kind of look at, well, um, let's see, negative responses basically. Occasionally I get a negative response like take me off your list, or you know, what's this about kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if it's a what's it about kind of email back, I said, well, it's kind of something we probably should talk about because it's about, bringing some more business, to you, so we just need to talk. I'd be happy to, are you around now, or, can we talk sometime, later on tomorrow or something? That
Yep.
kind of thing. I just try to turn it around. Usually if it's negative, the person might have a negative perspective, or they might be having a hard day or whatever, and they might just be
Yep.
coming across that way. And I think a lot of things get lost in translation too, via email. It might just sound negative, but the guy might not necessarily be negative or
Definitely.
upset with you.
You definitely don't want to give too much information out via email, right? Just
Right.
like when we're doing the consult or when you're running the consult, you don't want to tell them what product or service you have to sell, right? So you definitely wouldn't want to do it in the email when you're trying to get them on the consult.
Exactly.
So just turn it around. I personally try to respond to everybody, even if they say something negative. I still respond. If they like flat out say, take me off your list, I just say, sorry, no problem. Let us know if you need any help with XYZ in the future, with growing your X business, right? And it's funny, like sometimes people will reply back like, hey, thank you so much, right? And we've actually ended up closing deals like that told us to, some candid message like, take us off your email list, or you spammers, stop it, like things like that, right? And we've actually turned them into clients. So I respond to every email, even if it's an FU.
Yeah. In this case, that doesn't necessarily mean follow up.
Yeah. That's funny.
But it's not that many, and it's not worth being afraid of at all. I mean, the upside is tremendous. So.
All right, there, I fixed that for you, Mark, all right? All right, so let's go to follow up. So basically, again, you're following up with, and we kind of went through this, right? But you're following up with people that have opened your emails and interacted with them more than once, or that have replied. Do you do any other type of follow up if they don't respond? So I know that you're dripping out emails, right? Like day 1, day 3, day 5, whatever. Do you do anything beyond that? Do they just go in kind of a never responded type of campaign, or?
No, I haven't gotten that far, honestly, Joe. Yeah.
Cool.
Probably should put them in some kind of bottomless pit campaign. I don't know.
Yep. So then let's talk about the cold emails. What I love about this is when we start talking about cold emails, everybody's like, oh man, I wouldn't even know what to say, right? I don't know what to even put in the email. How many of you guys feel like that? Give me a one if you guys feel like, man, I wouldn't even know what to put in a cold email. Right, so let's say that you guys are going after, you're sending emails to, cold emails to 50 roofers, and it's going to be like a 3-part sequence, getting them to respond, right? How many of you feel like you wouldn't know what to say? Just give me a one in the chat real quick. One. Yeah, so quite a few ones. So Barton actually shared his emails with me that he used, guys, and I see this all the time. I know people that do very, very well with this method and with cold emails and doing what Bart is doing, not selling what Bart is selling, but getting response, right, and getting appointments booked. And guys, there is nothing special to the emails. There's not. That is something completely 100% in your head. Okay, I mean, by all means, there's some best practices, but even if you don't follow best practices, you're still going to get some type of response. Okay, it's not like a do or die type of thing.
Yeah, it's not a sales letter.
Exactly. So it's not like you have to write. The beautiful thing about cold emails is the shorter, the least amount you write, the better. Okay, so it doesn't need to be 1,000-page or 1,000-word sales letter or 2,000 or 3,000. Short is good, right? So let's talk just about kind of what's worked well for you, Bart, in terms of cold emails. Shorter the better,
Okay.
obviously.
Yep. Basically, I don't have them right in front of me, but it's 2 sentences max, and it's basically, identifying like, hey, we work. Basically, you're identifying yourself as someone that knows their industry, like, we work specifically in your industry, so you're not just like, some spammer or whatever, and you figured out a way to consistently and easily get leads, more leads to their business. I mean, so we just basically say, I'd be happy to share it with you if you got a few minutes. You can either call me, here's my cell phone, or reply back. Something basically like that. So you're basically saying, hey, I got a way to affordably and effectively bring you in some more leads. Be happy to share it with you. And so that's kind of it.
Guys, isn't that simple? Everybody that just gave me a 1, George, Chuck, Philip, Robert, right? Like, that's so simple. That is so easy to do. All of you guys can do that and come up with a bunch of different variations of that, right? Bart, you care if I read them one of yours and kind of censor it a little bit?
Not at all. Yeah.
I'm just grabbing what you sent me here, pulling it up for you guys. So you guys have a real life example here. All right. So the subject is the niche and then industry. That's it. The niche industry is the subject line for his first email. Okay, and then it says the email itself is first name. I work with a few niche outfits and found that their advertising can be successful, but it's also expensive and unpredictable. I found a solution for them that brings in new clients consistently and reliable month after month. Would it be worth it for you to take 5 minutes so I could show you how this works for free? Just hit reply or call, put his phone number, and I can explain fully. That's it. Guys, it's so simple, right? So super short. 3 little sentences. Well, 4 little sentences.
Yep.
Okay, so one more time, Mark says, the niche industry for the subject line, right? I work with a few niche outfits and found that their advertising can be successful, but it's also expensive and unpredictable. I found a solution that brings in new clients consistently and reliably, I keep having trouble with that, month after month. Would it be worth it to you to take 5 minutes so I could show you how this works for free? Just hit reply or call and I can explain fully. Thanks, Bart Murray. Okay, and then I mean the second email is just a follow-up email to that, right? So the first sentence of your second email should say something to the effect like, I emailed you 2 days ago about, right, getting more leads, and I haven't heard back. Okay, then Bart says, do you want me to tell you how I send clients to niche companies, right? To roofing companies. Okay, it's okay if you say no, some outfits are just too busy to take on any new clients right now, and that's fine. I'm looking for 1 or 2 that are currently successful but could use some new clients. Is there someone like that that you could refer me to? Just hit reply to this email. Thanks, Bart Murray. Okay, so guys, that's it. So correct me if I'm wrong, Bart, but you built a 6-figure business in 30 days, basically using 2 spam emails that you sent out to people, cold emails, right?
Yep.
And by calling people that interacted and responded, booking an appointment, and having a consult.
That's it.
Okay, so guys, there's not many moving pieces to this. Okay, very, very simple. So I'm going to give you guys actually some swipes that we're using for cold emails, and I'm helping Bart kind of with his campaign, if you will, and helping him with some leakage or breakage, if you will, and some of this stuff, helping him kind of automate the process so that it's a little easier for him to get a hold of now that he's really trying to scale up and has something that's been successful already, right? And so we'll obviously share what's going on with that as we find kind of new insights there. So guys, the cold emails are simple. So two total cold emails is all that he's been sending. There's an opportunity, obviously, to add in a third and a fourth, and these are conditional, right? So he doesn't email them, obviously, a second time if they replied the first time or if he got a consult book. So he takes them off the list, right? So that's obviously kind of a big thing.
Hey, here's something, Joe, that I don't know if it's been conveyed or not, but if I'll go back through my list of each area that I'm focusing on, and I'll take out all the people that replied back, and I still have this list left, you know, whatever amount, 20 or 30 people or whatever, and I'll just resend. You know, I got the date on my my software when it was sent, when the campaign ran. And if it's like a week later or whatever, I'll resend the first one again, but with a different subject headline. You know, until they say take me off the list or no thanks. So
yeah, they can definitely go into some type of longer nurturing campaign if they don't respond initially. We just sold a lead gen site. We took an initial pass through via cold email, probably, I don't know, 2 months ago. Got nothing. Okay, it's in a smaller city, not a huge niche, so there's not a lot of businesses to contact. And then we didn't do anything for 2 months, right? We've just been busy. So we went back in, sent out another cold email, got 2 demo or kind of consult calls from it, and sold one right live on the call for $30 a call in a very lower end niche, right? So don't just trash those old leads, right? Those are still good for something.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for whatever reason, you know, a client might go under or something might happen, and you'd find another client. You got all those lists and campaigns to refer to again, and you know, find somebody else.
So do you guys all understand like the big kind of high level kind of process? I want to talk about some other things, but I just want to make sure that kind of you guys understand high level. So Lead Kahuna to find the emails, scrape the data, right? Find the business owner and their email, their first name, their last name. Sending cold emails right now. Barton's sending 2 cold emails, so 2 to 3 days apart, right, Bart?
Right.
Okay. So if they don't respond, sending them 1 follow-up email, right? Automatically, right? And then he follows up only, again, with these, the only ones that are active. So I'm just going to put active here. And so by active, what I mean is they've opened the email or they've responded, right? He's following them, and his goal is just to book an appointment. Okay, so Bart's always going to act like he's busy. He's going into an appointment. He's doing something else, right? And now's not a good time, but he wants to have a chat with them. Okay, and then last but not least, he's having that consult. How long on average do you think your consults are?
45 minutes.
Okay. Cool. Somebody asked, what's the best time to send emails? You want to talk about your experience with that?
Well, blue collar, I find that if I send them out early in the morning or the night before is good. And that way you can kind of eyeball it when they open it in the morning. Get up early and you just kind of watch the opens, kind of like a hawk, and wait for it. So when I say early, probably, you know, 6 in the morning, but honestly, I do it the night before, right before I go to bed. I'll just launch it and shoot them out, you know, maybe 11 o'clock or something. I wouldn't send them out at 3 or 4 in the morning or something, because then they might think you're a weirdo.
Let's see. Robert Westberg says sick. Mark Casey says, how is he following up? So basically, he's following up via email or via phone, right? So if it's just if he sees that somebody opens the email multiple times or is like really engaged with it, he's going to call the person on the spot, right, and go for booking an appointment. If they respond to the email, obviously he's just going to respond back right away to the email and try to book the appointment. And if they don't respond, Bart said he'll also call them. And so that's what we talked about in the follow-up right here, right? Does that make sense, Mark? Awesome. Cool. So let's talk about how you take payment. You're using Stripe, right?
Yep.
And then any other tools for taking payment or signing contracts or any other kind of dispensable pieces, right? I mean, you're using Lead Kahuna, obviously. You're using Stripe to take payments. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I send two documents. They're just single-page documents. Keep it very simple. And I call it an outline and an order form. I don't call them proposals. And I specific reason for that. Proposals has just been so overdone. I just think, when you say, oh yeah, send me a proposal, or yeah, let's do lunch sometime, or let me pencil you in, or whatever. It's just so, something goes in their head when they hear proposal, and they might blow you off with that. So I just kind of call it an outline, and I just say, yeah, I'll when they express interest at the end of the consult, I just say, hey, I'll put a real simple outline together, what we talked about, and I already got that prepared because what I talked about is pretty much the same thing with everybody, but they get the impression that it's unique to them each time. And an order form, and the order form is just a simple thing, and it actually has the three different levels of service that I may or may not have talked about in the consult, because if they don't ask, I don't talk about, well, wait a minute, I got a lower level, or wait a minute, I got a higher level. If they're cool with the 1500 and they don't ask about the other levels, I don't really talk about it because I don't want to waste the time or deviate from the focus of, going down the funnel and closing the deal. But the order form has the three ones outlined and the pricing, and I already have the middle one checked off, and filled in, and then I have actually a little form at the bottom to collect their credit card information, and then basically I send it with the outline and the order form, and I also have a link on my website that takes them directly to a payment page. So they have, options there. And then I just send that email to them. And a lot of times I also try at the end of the consult, to just imply that, there's really not much, since they don't have any more questions, then when we get back together, it's just going to, basically be walking them through the order process, or something very basic like that. So I'm just assuming they're going to want to get going, and that's why I'm sending them an order form and not a proposal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love the change in language. That's very simple, but completely understand why you do that, and I like that kind of approach. So Chuck says, any preferences on email tracking software? Up until now, you've been using Lead Kahuna to find the leads and mail the leads, right?
Correct.
Right. So we've obviously. Go ahead, man.
I'm sorry. I was just saying it had LeadAware attached to it too, so I'm able to see, who opens and when. But there's Yesware and some other stuff out there. There's all kinds of software available.
And we're working together kind of on his campaign. I'm helping Bart a bunch, like I talked about earlier, on some very specific workflow type of things to make things faster, to make things easier to fulfill on, and kind of to do things in an evergreen fashion, so that Bart doesn't have to watch everything all day long. He can just kind of get the notifications. These are the people that are paying attention and paying attention now. You need to follow up with them. So obviously, as we get those things, advancements working, we'll share them with you guys. Let's talk about your goals, and let's talk about your last 30 days, because I know that that's very different than your next 30. So
Yeah,
let's
it's kind of
talk
mind
about.
blowing.
Go ahead, man. Sorry, kind of
No,
mind
I'm
blowing.
just, yeah, just kind of mind blowing. Really, I mean, I had no idea that, my backstory. I've been got a local SEO business for the last 6, 7 years, and you know, real estate and restaurants, man, that's been my bread and butter, and they pay, what they want to pay, it seems, and I was just stuck in this empty paradigm of, gosh, um, you feeling almost like a beggar, especially if you got clients that have been working with you a while. You're providing very valuable services, but they just kind of get used to you, like part of the furniture or whatever. And I just really started hating that whole feeling, and so I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's see, next 30-day goals. Yeah, I mean,
Let's
so
let's
go
back
ahead.
up for a second. Let's talk about your last 30 days goals and kind of what your frame of reference was. Obviously, uh, you got out of the gate, did things fast, but kind of as you were going, what were kind of your goals in terms of activity? I know that you shared kind of how many emails a day, how many touches a day,
Yeah, yeah.
some of those things. How many consults a week? How many new customers a week? Um, and I want to get it specifically for the last 30 days first, because your next 30 days, like, you're on fire, and so your goals are completely different, and they're two very different things, right? So I want to make
Yeah,
sure that we
yeah.
hit this one first before you get excited and tell everybody else kind of where you're headed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I just started doing about 20 or so, emails out every day. I figured if I got 100 emails out a week, when I first got going, that, I would get, 5 or so replies or 5 conversations. And I was thinking out of 5 conversations, I would get 1 customer. That was kind of my thinking, you know. I don't think that was too out of line or anything. And I've had sales jobs way, way in the past before. I haven't been in sales for a long time. I've had, but when you run your own business, you kind of are in sales. But that's a whole other topic and subject of another webinar or whatever. But yeah, so that's where I started. So didn't go crazy. I just started to the town just north of me, the closest town, because I'm on a barrier island on North Carolina, and it's kind of isolated. So the closest larger town is up in Virginia Beach. And so I did a lead kahuna search, scraped some leads and sent them out, and um, wasn't getting the result I wanted, so I looked around and I went down south a little bit towards Wilmington, and I started going up and down the coast and then out west, and just made sure I did my 20, and I was getting to a point where after I got my first success, I mean, I got success fairly quickly, kind of unsuspecting. I got kind of excited, so I ramped it up to 30 a day. you know, wasn't any big numbers or anything, but the main thing I told myself was to just be, consistent with it. Don't try to just, shoot for the moon right out of the gate. Just be consistent and take the daily actions and just take the deep breath and make the phone call, and it's worth it. It's worth following up with people, and a lot of times they don't really expect it, honestly. So yeah, that's where I started. I don't know. My goal was to get. I was shooting for one deal that first week. You announced the contest, and like, well, let's just do the thing I wasn't doing, which was, you know, making the phone calls. And it wasn't that many phone calls. I just replied to the opens and the reply. I think I got just a couple people replying back via email, but just followed up with heck, I didn't even try to call people that didn't open it up 2 or 3 times. I didn't even worry about the ones that just opened it once, because I was still kind of just, I'm not saying shaking in my shoes, but the phone. I got away from using the phone a long time ago when I was sold the dream of affiliate marketing, and passive residual income, sipping the pina colada or whatever, on the beach. And you tell yourself, well, I can't get on the phone. I mean, I'm an internet marketer, but you got to reach people where they're at. Whether you're, the internet marketer guru of the year or whatever. People still use the phone, and they're not online as much as you are, so there's nobody's judging you. So anyway,
How long did it take you, Bart, to get your first customer? How long did that take? Was it about a week or?
3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 days.
Right, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I fired up, I think it was New Year's Day. I just sent out emails, started sending out emails, and I just told myself I was going to call everybody that, responded. And that's what I
So
did.
you started saying that you didn't even have that many conversations in order to get that first deal, or you didn't call that many people.
Yeah.
Do you recall at all what that looked like for that first deal? How many people you talked to? And
I talked to 5 people, I think. 5 people.
wow.
Yeah, and out
So
of
5
5,
conversations, 1 deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And those weren't all consults either, right? Those were just follow-ups and setting an appointment. So
yeah, I only had 2
2
consults,
appointments.
and one of the 2 consults closed. So yeah, I mean,
Guys, give Bart a big hell yeah if you think that's awesome, right? Five conversations, you book 2 consults, and you book 1 person live, or well, with follow up, right? You're getting $1,500 a month. I mean, those are fantastic numbers. It's not like he's cold calling all day long, every day, 8 hours a day in order to get 1 deal. Or he's cold calling, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in order to get 1 deal either, right? It's not that many calls, and that's what's awesome. I always find that it's not near as many as people think.
yeah, I think it's because you're specializing and customizing your conversations, and it's not internet marketing that you're emailing out to. It's not the internet marketing or the latest WSO forum or whatever. Some people, regular folks out there, trying to make a living.
So guys, any questions for Bart? You guys have all been a little quiet. I know you guys are soaking it up. You guys are digging it. You got lots of good comments in the chat, but let us know. We're here for you guys. I twisted Bart's arm to show up and share with you.
So my current goals, like where I'm looking now, I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm thinking, God, I mean, 500,000? I don't know. We'll just see. Keep going. Keep moving along. I mean, I might tap out. I doubt I tap out the niche I'm in because it's just unlimited. I mean, it's like an onion. It's just layer upon layer upon layer. So many towns and so many cities. So yeah, I mean, so my initial goal this month was like, well, if I could get 1 appointment every day, then that's a win. Whatever it takes to get 1 appointment, and I'm pretty much following that. And with 1 appointment a day, I'm closing 1 or 2 deals. Now my bottleneck is getting the follow up, of after the outline and order form has gone out, and that's kind of elongating. And you're going to be helping. You're helping me with some of that to kind of automate that a little bit, and then let those things brew, and they might just sprout leaves, in a few weeks or whatever, and just let them be, and don't get frustrated in the follow-up, I think, with that, and just keep moving on and making new connections. I think that's a big tip, is just keep moving on. If they're not around to the follow-up closing appointment, if you will, then you just kind of keep touch with them. Don't bug them or anything, but just keep in touch with them and make sure they know you're there and they can call you anytime. And
So yeah,
so
we'll be working on some type of little sequence for that bottleneck to follow up on all the people that he had the consult with and that he set the outline and order form to, so that it keeps dripping on them until they sign.
Yeah.
So just some touch points to stay in front of them.
Yeah, my perspective is they're going to just, when they say send me the the outline and the order form, I'm assuming you're just going to go ahead and with a link in the email, they're just going to order that day. But I always say, hey, let's get together, in 2 days and at a specific time, just as an anchor, to get back in touch with them and set the expectation that, hey, I'm committing to give you this information, and you can either, order now when you get it or when we get back together, because they might have. I've had this. I mean, with a couple of them. They just had a couple quick questions, and I can't even remember what they were, but they weren't anything dramatic. They already knew the deal, and they were on board, and that was it, So yeah, so my next 30 days, I would like to possibly get 5 strategy sessions every day, 5 strategy sessions, and or appointments or whatever you want to call them, get to know you sessions. And do that. And it might be something like, these guys aren't around during the middle of the day, so it'll probably be maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 early mornings, up until about 10 a.m. And then it's going to be, a period of time where they're not going to be around, and then maybe later in the day, Yep. And I'm going to make myself available for them for that, because I think it'll be worth it. But the goal will be to have 5 confirmed appointments every day, and that would be 25 a week, and that could possibly be 5 deals a week.
Yeah. So what? How many emails do you think you need to send out to be doing that?
Yeah, maybe 50 every day.
Yeah. So what I love about this is that we took the time to talk about the last 30 days first, right? So you guys could see the expectations that were set there, and Bart's commitment, right? It wasn't crazy in terms of how many touches he was doing, right? But he was very consistent, day in and day out, right? He was consistent. That's what you can say, right? And that got him to 6 figures. It's not like, it's not like, Bart, you were working 16 hours a day on this, like. Look at the numbers: 20 cold emails per day, right? And on his first, his first deal that he got signed, he talked to 5 customers, set 2 actual appointments, and closed 1. Okay, so I mean, then when you look at this, how big of a jump is it to go from 20 cold emails to 50, right? You just need more data from Lead Kahuna, right? And now he's just doing more appointments per day.
Yeah, I mean, now I can maybe start outsourcing some of this stuff and I was finding all the leads myself, and I tried to hire a couple of my adult children, but they're doing other things. So, you can find people. It's easy, There's lots of stay-at-home moms looking for work. There's a lot of things out there, You can put an ad on Craigslist if you want somebody local to help you.
For sure. So we got a couple questions that came up. What email do you use to send out your cold emails? Do you use like a Gmail or a self-hosted domain?
Yeah, I just use my personal email, my Gmail account. So I think somebody told me the other day there's a limit on that. So I don't know, what I'll do. But I don't really want to.
It's under 50, or it's over 50 a day though. So you're not gonna really have a problem.
Yep.
So. I think that there's a big misconception, that you have to be sending out so many emails in order to make something like this work, and that's just not the case, right? So because we don't need to be sending 500 emails a day, that shouldn't really be a concern. So I hope that helps, Mark. So Robert was wondering, after you do your Lead Kahuna search, are there any criteria that you filter down on?
Criteria. I mean, well, we'll go in and clean it up, and go ahead.
You're just cleaning it up though, and making sure that there's an email, right? Because you want to send it to as many people in that niche as possible.
Yeah, email, and I try to get a first name. That's ideal.
Yep.
And I always look. Because sometimes in Lead Kahuna, it'll be, optimized for whatever the industry is, and it'll be, whatever, water damage. Water will be the first name, damage will be the second name, or something like that. And you just got to look so you don't look I mean, not that you're an idiot or anything, but you just don't want to say dear water, you know, or whatever.
Dear water
Um,
damage.
I was initially, to get my first couple of deals, I was just getting an email and sending it out, and I was putting hello or greetings or whatever. I didn't get caught up in it because there's just, quite honestly, I didn't have the time to go and research it, you know, and find all the information. But I had an email, so that's what I did. And then I would even call in on people that I didn't know their names yet, but I knew that they had opened the email, you know, 2, 3, 4 times. So I knew somebody was over there, you know, opening the emails.
We got a question. What are your biggest objections or questions? What are your top 3 biggest objections or questions?
Well, the objections or questions that come up, I guess, during the consult, you know, do you have a guarantee? And what I basically, the guarantee part is we're not like inflexible like some of these bigger outfits that make you sign long contracts. I just say, you know, hey, I'm not about having you sign a long-term contract. It's a month-to-month thing, so we prove, you know, our value each month to you. That's our guarantee. Basically, you know, we're available. You know, you got the owner of the company here. I'm not some telemarketer or sales guy in a telemarketing room, and we're very hands-on. And you know, we track all our calls, and we provide a report. And at the end of the month, we'll get together, and you know, if you like what we've done, we can move forward. If not, that's okay too. And that's pretty much all I say. I don't really write out a guarantee like if we hit X numbers, and that's, I've been fairly loose with that, and it's working. You know, it's just you know, I'm just coming across genuine, which I am, and you know, I also tell them it's you know, we some areas we've done some work, but a lot of these areas, you know, it's brand new. We start a campaign, we just hit it really hard and start building campaigns as far as getting the lead flow going. So we tell them it'll take a little while, but you know, we'll cover, you know, the 5 leads that you're looking for on a monthly basis, and you know, and I don't have a specific, you know, language of any kind of guarantee on any of the paperwork that I send.
Yeah. So guarantee is definitely a big one. I like how you handle it too. We're not flexible, or we're not inflexible like the big boys, right?
Yep.
And kind of taking that angle. That's an angle that we take a lot. When you guys start talking to leads, you'll notice that in some spaces, not all spaces, right, but in some spaces they're kind of burnt out on the lead gen model, and it's because, and not everybody, not all your prospects, but some of them will, and you got to dig in and you got to figure out why, right? But a lot of the times it's because they've worked with somebody like HomeAdvisor where they're sharing leads, and then they're getting into bidding wars, and they're just dropping the price, and then ultimately they're not getting the job. And so we'll use that to our advantage. If we know, for example, if we scrape leads from HomeAdvisor and we know that they're paying HomeAdvisor for leads, we're going to use that when we're on the phone with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to ask them how they like, you know, working with HomeAdvisor. Okay? And we're going to let them play right into our hand. They're going to, oh, well, it's okay, it's better than nothing or whatever, right? But ultimately, I wish that they were exclusive to me. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's see. Mark says, do you often get asked about any current past clients or referrals?
One time I did, and you know, I found some clients that, from work that I have done, because I've had a business for 6 or 7 years. They never called them, they never followed up with them, and they never really became a client. So, you know, it wasn't worth it. And honestly, if they start asking what are your qualifications and all that, you know, I take it away from them. You know, I just say, well, you know, I could give you all that, but honestly, you know, every time we do that, the company never really works with us for some reason. I can go ahead and get some together for you, but honestly, I mean, you know, we're you probably won't work with us if we do that. And you know, and then I tell them a little bit about me, you know, because I look at it more like, well, they want to just know more about me, and I'll just start talking about myself a little bit, about my business and what I've done, and just recently got into the restoration industry, you know, or the plumbing industry, or the whatever, and I really enjoy it, you know, and I work directly with the owners, and I like to work, you know, with privately owned, you know, companies like yours. And if it's a franchise, I'll say, yeah, I like to work with these franchises, you know, or whatever it might be. But I basically just, you know, try to put them at ease that I'm a regular guy here, and you know, I can send you my website. I put a little blurb about my specialty now as a drop down on my nav bar on my website. So I offer to, you know, they can look at my website, and I even tell them to go through a computer to go ahead right now on there and look while I have them on the phone, so that it's not a blow off, you know. So that's happened a couple times. And I send them to my website, and I tell them to go look right here, and this is us, and you know, we are who we say we are.
Yep.
But honestly, it's never worked out. I've done it a couple times when I first. I mean, I've done this before, or tried to get this going before in the past, but I just didn't do the phone call. I didn't focus on phone calls, and I just wasn't really organized with it all. And when you send that information out, it's kind of like a smoke screen, just kind of busy work, and they're really not going to work with you.
Yeah. They don't. It's just a rebuttal, right? It's a reason that they're putting up in their head to not work with you. So
Yeah.
I think what Barton said is the smartest thing, right? Start talking about yourself again and what you have to offer, and dive deeper, right? Just because somebody asks you a question doesn't mean that you have to answer it.
Right.
Right? Think about why they're asking that question. Okay? If they're asking for referrals, they must not believe in what you have to offer. Okay? So how can you get them to believe in that?
Exactly.
Right? But I think the more important thing above all of that is how many times Barton said that he had to ever answer any questions like that. Right?
Yeah.
Like few and far between.
Yeah. I mean, once or twice in the last 30 days, and I've had a lot of conversations. So it's just
right. Let's say this. I think this would be fair. Barton didn't know exactly how to handle it. He did the best that he could. Those deals didn't even end up closing anyway, and he still did 6 figures in 30 days. So, right, does that really matter? Is that the right question? And I don't think so.
Yeah, before that might have gotten in my way, but I decided it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is having a conversation.
So, I mean, if you guys want to share proof, if that's like the big hang up in your head, I don't think you guys should need to. But if that's the big hang up in your head, go do some poking and probing and get a couple hundred rankings so that you can show your clients.
Yeah.
Right? Like outsource that to a VA for a day at $3 an hour. That'll cost you $30, and you'll have more proof than anybody that they've ever seen before. Right? So ultimately, that's a big excuse, and you guys are all really smart marketers. You guys can get past that easily with our training and software and everything that we have to offer. That should be an easy one to get past.
Yeah, there's lots of fish in the sea too. You know, it's you know, if somebody's just that untrusting, it's probably not a good idea to work with them, honestly.
Let's see. Questions, guys? I think we have it all. We don't really have 3 rebuttals. But what you guys will find is when you do a good consult, right, and you really are are answering their problem, and they believe that you are the solution to their problem, you're not going to have a whole bunch of rebuttals, right? So if you build rapport with them, get them to open up and talk with you, right, and then you sell them your lead gen because it's what they tell you they need, right? For me to make a big difference in my business, or to make a difference in my business right now, Bart, I need 5 calls, and based upon that, I should be getting 1 to 2 good water damage calls each and every month. That would be make a big difference for my company. And then Bart turns around and tells me, okay, great, I can do that for $14.99 a month. This is the package that best fits what you just told me, right? There shouldn't be a whole lot of objections to that, right? Now, obviously, we just kind of paraphrase that consult call, right? And that's extremely high level. But ultimately, that's why when you pitch something like this, you don't get a lot of pushback, is because it's a consultative close. You're getting them to tell you their problems and getting them invested and emotionally invested with you as a person and getting to know you, even though they've, it's mostly one-sided. They've just told you all about themselves and their business. But it makes it super easy to sell.
Hey, here's one rebuttal, or one whatever. Sometimes I get, well, what do you do exactly? What is it? How do you get these leads? And I'm very high level. I don't, I might joke and say, oh, it's an ancient Chinese secret or something, or if I tell you I have to kill you or something like that, or, but honestly, it's a multi-disciplined approach. Bottom line is we focus on getting your phone to ring. So, it could be Facebook, it could be pay-per-click, it could be video marketing, it could be a whole host of things. Whatever is working in each, geographical area is different. So leave that up to us. Yeah. Your only concern is getting, the leads in, and we'll do that for you.
Yep. So the cool thing is too, is let's say you fall flat on your face with a customer the first month, okay, and you haven't got leads. What do you say to them? All right, well, we busted butt on technique number 1, and we can see that we're starting to get some momentum, but we're not quite there yet. So what we want to do is we want to bolster this, and so we're going to start our second campaign, and we think that by the end of this month, we should be good to go on the amount of leads that you need. Right? But you guys need to kind of follow in the same steps as Barton, and you need to focus on the sales end of things. Because if you don't, you're never really going to get the momentum that Bart has got in the last 30 days. Right? Like, there's a night and day difference between the Bart in the last 30 days and now and previous. I mean, things have completely changed for you. I'm sure that everybody has seen the testimonial and stuff that you gave us, which is amazing, but, I mean, things have completely changed for you. I mean, you're looking at potentially moving because, like you say, heck, why not? I can live anywhere, and, you need that momentum, though. And the easiest way to get momentum is bringing sales in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. But
cool,
nothing
guys,
happens until somebody sells something, right?
Exactly. The Grant Cardone. So, guys, questions for Bart or I? I think we're about done here. We're just over an hour with you guys. But wanted to get you guys some FaceTime with Bart to go kind of through his process, his story, what he's been up to, how he's been selling these deals. Give me a 1 if you guys thought like this was extremely helpful. You understand how easy this is. It's not like he was working 20 hours a day, barely sleeping, right? Like, this is achievable, right? Cool. Everybody's saying thanks, man. I don't know if you can see the chat, but everybody's saying very helpful and 111, and Barton, thanks for being generous with your time and your tips. So.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to be here. Anything I can do to help you, Joe. And yeah, I've been following you for a few years now, and it's been great.
Awesome, man. Even more great in the last 30 days, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it is good, and I'm super excited. So it's the whole mind shift change has been happening, and just a lot more options.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
awesome, man. All right, guys. Last chance. Last chance. Any last questions remaining? Please, please, please let us know. So while I give everybody a second to think here, basically, guys, each of you guys that were invited to this call are invited to join us for the commitment and the 30-day program that we're starting on the 15th. So all of you guys will be getting emails on that. But essentially, basically, we're all going to be using this system. We're all going to be using a very similar system. I've been working with Barton really closely on helping him with his systems and processes and kind of the bottlenecks, so to speak, that he's running into right now. And basically, we've been working on a solution for his business that I'm going to be giving to you guys right out of the gate as well, so that you guys don't have those same problems like Barton's having 30 days down the road. So we're going to get you even more prepared and hold everybody accountable once a week. So we'll be running those calls every Monday at 2 p.m. And so if we haven't talked about that, or if you haven't committed yet, just let me know. Follow up with me. Let me know that you want in on that. So that'll be kicking off on the 15th. Cool. Go get 'em, Barton. When can we get this recording? I'll get you guys out this recording right away, Mark. So by tomorrow, if not later today. All right, Barton, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. And everybody else, thanks for jumping on. Can't wait to get this 30-day program off to the races. I'm super excited. When you guys see the technology stack, the sales stack that Barton and I have been working on for you guys are going to freak. So the goal is more automation and not a huge cost. I think it's going to end up costing you guys $100 to get Lead Kahuna and under $60 a month to basically automate almost this entire process. So it's super, super exciting stuff. Make sure you guys join me on the 15th so Barton and I can walk you guys through this process and share with you guys exactly how this is going to be working for the 30-day challenge. Cool? Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon.
See you guys. See you, Joe.